After a moment of thinking, the girl decided to be frank with the translation chapter. We had a deal before. I'll help you counterattack the Tay Sun base. You will provide a place, food for me and my students. She glanced at Zhang Yi to probe your thoughts. Then talk again. Now, the Tay Sun base has been destroyed. When it comes to accommodation, there's already a word for it. So I hope you can provide us with more supplies. I know too, my students are all pampered. Let them find their own food. Fishing in the river takes time. I can hear you talking about the students. The eyes are a little uncomfortable. Because from the very beginning, saving the ocean, I didn't like the character of these students. Zhang Yi looked at her salary and asked an unpleasant question. Say so, they didn't suffer enough at the Tay Sun base. Why until now? She still watches her students. Like little birds, need to be protected. That's why you decided to come down here today. That Xin Trong translated. I know what Zhangji doesn't like about his students, so the salary says nothing else. Not talking about it for a while. Though SAO, you should also provide us with supplies first, so we can get through it a while ago. Things I will try to solve later. They don't like the students, but I really want to get someone who's capable of martial arts. Like the salary. The young man agreed, of course. As I said, Zhang Yi immediately opened the space. Get some necessary supplies. After everything is complete, he looked at the salary. These things, that's enough for you and 10 students to eat for half a month. Take it home. This is what we agreed on earlier. She has a happy face. Put the glass of water on your hands. I didn't forget to say thank you. Thank you, Trong Duck. For young people campaigning, the amount of supplies is not significant. As for the salary girl and the Kier students, it's extremely important. Take a sip of water and tell her the salary. This is what you deserve. No need to thank me. Then the salary lady quickly took out a bag to put all the supplies in. Zhang. I saw the hasty look on her face. Curious to ask. A woman who leads so many students. It must be hard, right? She didn't say anything when she heard about it, but just silently sighed for an hour. How tired is your face right now? She's been thinking since the end of the world. As a teacher, I always do my best to protect my students. Thinking of this, her eyes showed warmth. You know that your students see you as a rock. But no one cares if you're miserable. After a moment of sadness, she quickly hides her emotions. That replied to Trong Yi. Thank you. But I can't abandon those students. If I let go, they will not survive in this world. She took the bag of supplies and stood up. That would make me unable to forgive myself. Listen to the salary whisper. Unable to let go of the responsibility and burden on his shoulders. Life is so hard. In the young man's mind came another thought. How can you get your salary back to your team? If I could help pay approvals properly deal with those students, she'll be delighted. Anti-Chin movement thinking. She was determined not to abandon her students. It's because of faith in your heart. Just have the right reason to let go. You will be able to safely enter a new life. Even though that group of students isn't a good thing. If there is a chance later, solve all those burdens. Yours is not bad either. I saw you preparing to leave. The dog did not forget to remind you pampered them too much. Obviously, their age is not small. Most of them have grown up. But it's still like a baby without milk. I have to rely on you completely. Salary approval. If all this food is eaten, what are you going to do? You are raising them all alone. When I heard Zhang speak, I sighed for an hour, and then I thought, what else can I do? I thought after going through that, they've grown a little bit. But now look back, it's all just my imagination. Trong Yi opened his words. Your salary is too hard for you. Let me help you. This one is a surprise, looking at Zhang Yi with tired eyes. If you don't understand what Zhangji means, ask him. What do you mean by that? I looked at her curious eyes, chin stroking, then slowly speak your mind. I said that I can provide you with food. You know I have a lot of resources on my hands. Food is plentiful, even if there are 10 more. Like you guys, there's no pressure at all. She always listened carefully to Zhang. I see you because the students are so hard. As a good person, I really can't see any more. In the present end times, no AI give no AI anything. So when I heard what Zhang Yi said, the salary comes straight to the point. Let me ask you to help us first. What do you hope we'll do for you? This part, Zhang Yi immediately explained to her conscience. Something you said was wrong. Not to help you, but to help you. I don't like circles. Rise up the epidemic. He stared at her with probing eyes and said, I need you to provide enough value in exchange for food. Miss, right now I still don't really understand what Zhang Yi means. She thought for a moment and asked for an answer. Tell me what you need me to exchange for you. And he just held up a finger. Point to the salary. Say I want you. My salary bounced when I heard the answer to the translation. Lesbians pay surprise to gaping mouth. Your face is as red as 2 tomatoes. Take a few seconds to picture. She stood up in front of the translation. She also pointed a finger straight at his face, with an angry face. Don't be too much. She made a bold statement with the translation. Even though I desperately need supplies to save the lives of Kier's students, but I'm not going to sell my body. Smiling a little. You always think you need your body. Young people right now, there are big question marks in my head. I feel that women's thoughts are magical. Raise your hands and tell your salary. I'd like to ask you to tutor me and teach me martial arts. This has become a bad thing. You were surprised to hear Zhang Yi explain. Up an hour. Speak up for an hour and then speak. You thought I wanted you to do that. Oh, the country river. Now her face is gray. I don't know where to put it. He looked at her blinking. Then clicked his tongue. God, what are you thinking? You're a teacher. Why is my mind so dark? Mistress shy to 9 facial, stuttering mouth can't say oh. Miss, after getting calm. I'm sorry, Zhang Yi. I'm sorry, I understand what you mean. Young man, there's another excuse to pretend to be angry. I thought you were that kind of person. You have judged me too low. That's why Trong Yi came. The young man turned and spoke in a voice he didn't need. Whether you want to be my tutor or not. I'm not forcing you. Just go. She looked at Zhang Yi and turned whose away. Eyes reveal regret. You tell Theo no. I am willing to. Just teach me martial arts. I have no opinion. When did outside the door of grace come? After hearing the conversation between the 2 men. Aesthetic. Do you have any intentions with the teacher? She clasped her hands with determined eyes. She muttered only to teach martial arts. It can be exchanged for food. Such a good opportunity cannot be missed. And young, he looked at the salary and said to himself, this female teacher has strong fighting strength, so naive and so frank. I've closed them. I saw that the salary lady agreed to turn to the. So this is it. She goes to the shelter every day. Taught me martial arts for over 2 hours. That's the exchange condition. I can feed 10 people. I heard only 10 parts of my salary. 10 people. She closed her hands with a very sincere face. Can I add some parts? We have a total of 16 people. 10 people are not enough. Take a breath and continue. Teacher salary. I hope you can understand my difficulties. This is not a one-time offer. It's 10 people, 10 portions of food a day. And you also don't hope my students become lazy. I'm just counting on my support to live. Over the day, right? I think this piece makes sense. Your salary must be accepted. All right, 10 people. After the deal was done with Zhang Yi, she carried her bag of supplies back to the village from home. The translation chapter. When you finish an exchange, you get tired. The young man fell on the couch and sighed for an hour. For a while. After 6 revelation and Han came to find Trong, I saw 2 young men talking out loud. You're a little late. The teacher just left. She said, no, I came because she left. Chew up for an hour and continue. I don't want to talk to my teacher. 2. He looked at Zhang with probing eyes. If we were here, will affect the negotiations between you and her. He just took a sip of water. Then I ask you again. Are you going to mess with the teacher? Han's question made Trong choke, to the point where the whole country is out. The young man hurried down a glass of water, wiped her mouth, and look. Why do you suddenly ask this question? I listened to Yang Zhangsen ask Zhang Yi about it. Love with the salary. 6 likely to give hand cover mouth smile. Ha ha ha, you are too much of a lover. 6 revelation brings sharp eyes to Zhang Yi. That makes young people a little shy, but turn your face the other way. She kept joking about the translation. There are obviously 2 of my sisters, but still want to pursue our teacher. As Yang Han seemed to understand Zhang Yi's thought, she crossed her arms and said a sentence. If you look at the evolution of civilization, humanity, it's actually the most effective and direct method to establish an alliance. You are right, my black heart. And bowed his head in silence. Yang Han further analyzed. The teacher's strength is formidable. And from a woman's point of view, she's also very attractive to the opposite sex. Plus courage, and her modest personality. Yang Xin hesitated for a moment and continued. It's actually no wonder you went after her. He had to admit that the truth was true. Young man, no more hiding from the eyes of the 2 girls. This time, he looked straight at the 2 girls. You 2 are so smart. I'm not going around anymore. The young man began to explain about wanting to have allies like you. The fighting power of the gun is very strong, very helpful for you. So I'm going to recruit her. Let her be a part of our team. Though he admitted that he wanted to ally with her. But only about love. To speak frankly, there is nothing about love between men and women. While Zhang Yi said, 6 and 6 are staring at you. Maybe the answer is no. It's hard for 2 girls to believe. But the owner, Zhang Yi, said so. Even if you don't believe, you still have to believe. She looked at me and said, yes, I understand, but at a different angle. If Trong Yip can collect her salary, it's good for everyone. Because for the end times like the present, if you have more talent like you, it will be safer. To understand this, HN promoted the campaign. If so, please try to help me as well. Listen to this song. I can't help but be surprised. I support you, SAO. Because I have been with you for a long time, so I am confident. I know who the teacher is better than you. She knows how to convince her. Become one of our people. But Zhang Yi doesn't think so. I am confident in my current condition. As a safe haven. Abundant supplies, good living conditions don't have to be complicated. It can also make her happy. He sighed when he remembered the students. The difficulty is help her get out of the burden. Nuisance. Look at the thoughtful face of Han. The translation says, don't think about harming them for a while. I don't want to have sex with a salaryman, too nervous. With her stubbornness. If I find out you killed her student, she won't think about anything else and will die with you. Give him a hand and he will have a chance. We try to wait more. Lie down on the sofa for a breath. If you have the intention, just do it. Just don't let your salary find out. Yes, I understand. When I returned to the room, I remembered one. It's about you. These days, I'm still looking up information at the Tae-sun base. There's something I want to tell you. He looked at me with anxious eyes. What do you say? Tae-sun base was built by the government before. Their equipment is full. The amount of information they hold is enormous. I found out a lot of interesting news. People are starting to be curious about the news. Glad to know. Young people are eager to know. Even less so. She turned to look at Zhang Yi. There's so much information I haven't processed yet. Just let me know in advance to be psychologically prepared. However, according to the news obtained so far, it can be confirmed that the entire Tianhai city is like the Tay-Sun base, powerful armed organizations. Surely there is not only one. Mr. Trong Yi, we've worked so noisily before. Do you think it will attract other forces? Trong Duck heard Han Han. Let's sit on the chin for a moment. Answer this, you know. Don't think any more. The young man fell down on the sofa. Analysis. Such a vast Tianhai city. It is not likely that only the Tay-Sun base is a powerful armed force. It is also confirmed, but the forces are still at odds with each other. In your head, you start asking a question. If there are more powerful forces, like other Tay-Sun bases, then why? Actually, Zhang Yi has been thinking about this for a long time. I think the shower is naked. So I leave it to fate. Young people can only hope for themselves. It will not be so. It's bad luck to face other forces. However, the doctor also confirmed. We're not provoking AI. We're not afraid of AI. If you really encounter another power, with our current power, is not to be afraid. In the young man's head right now, there are powerful warriors. Of course, there's you in there. Trong Yi said to himself, if you count the salary, it's our supernatural force. Up to 5 people, any power that wants to confront, all must be carefully considered. Glad to see Trong Yi smiling with eyes full of trust. Clear. I'll quickly complete the entire document. Then transfer it to you. After the talk of Han Han and Trong Yi about future plans, then I pushed her back to the office. Before going to Han Han also told Trong Yi, I'll arrange all the documents as soon as possible. Then give it to me. Young man smiling. Thank you for Duong Shin's efforts. All the time. Thank you for working so hard. Suddenly, Zhang Yi said 6 revelation. Come here for a moment. Suddenly, he pointed his hand at me. Brother, if you have anything you need me to do, just give me the order. Probably getting closer to the epidemic. She listened carefully to Zhang Yi saying this. This is how the situation is now. It's not just our families. Living in Van Co, the whole house manor. From Fat and Uncle View's family also moved here. If the enemy enters again, I don't want to. We can only defend passively, as before. So I want to ask you to help you design a defense blueprint. Then we'll build a line of defense around Ba family to deal with the enemy. 6 probably understand what Zhang Yi said. She folded her hands casually. The design is simple, but want to build a massive defensive fortification just based on numbers. Our people are not enough, right? The lake lacks large mechanical equipment. The material transportation is also very difficult. I would like to hear more about the 6 points. So I think we're missing something. Young man, list what you are capable of doing. Like the transport of materials, you can take it. If you need power, you have a view. From the item that can control the snow and ice, this point can also tell you more. If you need to store the material, call the back. Flowers can also help a hand at work. Energy, do you see any problems? 6 likely to meditate. Think about what Zhang Yi said. Maybe these are things you never thought of. We believe that our group still lacks strength. After a while, he probably smiled and said to Zhang Yi, that's what it is. Although the number of people is small, AI also has special skills. They want to build a strong defense. Now look back. It's not something that can't be done. After carefully calculating everything from human resources to the power of each person to allocate to each location, to hasten the revelation. You just do the design first. What do you need later? How to work? Just tell me directly, and I'll deal with it. If you understand the problem, you probably agree. Okay, I understand. Move the scene to a few days later. He called the view and came from Fat to talk about the plan. Build a defense line for all 3 houses. Young man pointed hands and the map in front said, focus on the 3 families we're all centered on. Build a solid line of defense around. If you meet a strong enemy at any time, we're not going to be passive anymore. Even if the first line of defense is broken, we can still go back to hiding. Continue to defend. Uncle View and from Fat listen carefully to Zhang's plan, because this is how they can stay safe. For yourself and your family, So the look on the AI's face is also tense. After listening to Zhang Yi, the king in the fat agreed. Just do what you say. Take a deep breath and talk about your worries. All the time. Our brothers have very similar thoughts. Tell the truth. I'm worried that I'm sleeping late at night. When people come in, they point guns at their heads. Just thinking about it has made spring look scary. That's why I have been talking about this plan since spring. Very excited. The view also adds to this defense plan. When building a defense line, it's not just about defense. There must also be a temporary attack capability. My opinion is, deploy more firepower around the defensive line. When it comes to fire, I wonder. So how is the problem of weapons and ammunition going to be solved? Just think for a moment and say. The problem is simple. It can produce bullets. You have a lot of guns. But after all, those who dare to attack us, it's certainly a strong armed force. That's why heavy firepower is required. Remember the Tay-Sun base area? The young man had a thought. Over a few days, as we recover to our best, let's go to the ruins of Tai-Sun base to see the SAO. There's a lot of good stuff there. My view agrees on this. In fact, I've been thinking about it these days. This topic, considering the defensive capabilities of the Tay-Sun base, it's no less. Our hiding place is how we can disassemble some of the materials. Bring it back to reinforce your defenses. But this piece Zhang Yi is worried. Their technology is all in block molding. Made SAO can be easily disassembled. So, there's one more thing. It also makes young people feel anxious. That is, we can also get a lot of building materials. Where else is this? The view is curious. To build fortifications there must be at least iron and steel. Concrete, cement. There's no such thing. Maybe we can't use snow to build our defenses. It's in the hard way that wisdom. Suddenly, a thought came to mind. Or let's say we build our defenses out of ice. It's also not a bad choice. From spring light, even though he has the ability to control snow. Like this is the first time I've heard about the idea of snow defense. The wooden eyes could not hide the surprise. Put your hand on the map in front of you. This time, the youth concentrated on the Jiang Highway River. Right in front of it is the Jiang Highway River. We can take a lot of ice out of it to do that. The walls built a defense line. At this outdoor temperature, the ice doesn't have to worry about melting. It's also very easy to repair. It's actually not a bad material. We then put steel as a skeleton inside. It will be simple. It's easy to build a wall of ice and snow. In the living room of the villa. Call your family view. And from fat to the planning table, as well as stress relief. After many days of hard work, destroying the Tay-Sun base, the men are talking. Time, the women invited each other to play mahjong. He just brought me a few glasses of water. Now, the Tay-Sun base has been destroyed. You're even more cautious than before. It is still the nature of careful translation. Careful to steer the ship for 1,000 years. We can't hope how others will do it, but can do the best. Your own safety measures. He looked at Trong Yi and asked with curious eyes. Whether later, will there be armed forces coming here? Not Tianhai City. There can be no force stronger than the Tay-Sun base. Right? Shake your head when you hear it. From Fat, asking a naive question. From Fat, you forgot to consider a case. The innocent face of the word Fat. The campaign began to explain in more detail. Let him. You can understand the seriousness of the situation. Smiling and saying, the Tay-Sun base has actually been destroyed by us. Is the truth. Others may not know about this. For those people, we're just a normal group of people. It doesn't even count as power. It makes sense to say something like that. I heard the word fat start to understand. He's naturally shy. It started to turn to sex again. That's the translation. We should quickly build a defense line. I have to say it again. I'm a little scared. Hold your chin for a moment and then say, the more delay, the more danger. We have to start right away. To turn a person around. A determined face mixed with a bit of confidence. Young people are always with everyone. Okay, 3 days later. Let's go to Tay-Sun base for a trip. 6 controls everything that can be used there. Uncle View and the fat man replied no problem. People are talking all the time. Then suddenly, the doorbell rings. It startled all three. When you look at the camera, you realize, this is not a teacher. What's she doing here? It's also quite ingenious. He rubbed his chin and looked at the old man. Maybe you recruited her. Young man. He glanced at the fat and confirmed. What are you talking about? You're not that kind of person. You and she only have a clean male-female relationship. She's your martial arts tutor, okay? This view is teased. You've had sex, but you're clean. Now in my mind, there's a vision. When we talk about tutors, he's just imagining the tutor. After a moment of thinking from fat cover mouth, Big Brother knows how to wait. No matter what you think and what you think. Zhang Yi, please open the door. The young man politely invited her into the room. Just got into the living room. The salary is not surprising. You see a completely different scene. In an age that's everyone is fully present to talk together, eat together. In particular, there is both pleasure and possibility. You always think that everyone's really here. Look at everyone who's happy to talk. I admire the atmosphere here. It's amazing. It's like a family. I see your salary coming. And then she raised her hand to say hello. Teacher salary. She looked at the two of them. I see you live so well now. I'm really reassured. You can quickly push yourself to the salary. He looked at the teacher and said, Mr. Zhang Yi treated us very well. We live very happily here. Pei, sit down. Take your hand and open your mouth. Your salary must be hard on the outside, right? If you want, I can ask for your help. Let you stay with us. I miss you so much. You always hear the suggestion, then immediately turn your face away. Your eyes can't hide the sadness of carrying so many burdens on your shoulders. You can't leave. If you go, the other students will find it hard to survive in such a harsh environment. He stared at the salary. Your salary is as gentle as before. Know her martial arts skills salary, very beneficial for your team. The poor are determined not to give up. You continue to convince. However, the salary, these two things don't affect each other. She moved into this shelter. We can still help them. Even though they are grown. Probably not to the point. I can't be away from you for a moment. Right? On the contrary, lady, if you really want to leave them alone, you have to let them learn how to survive. In the end times. When I saw her salary, I asked her salary again. Do you think what you say is right? But in the head, her salary, there's no certainty about the epidemic. She hesitated, but Mr. Zhang will not let me stay. Our relationship is not very close either. She whispered softly into the ear of HN, that if I go into the shelter myself, so that corn becomes a weapon and everyone else is outside, that's good. No, she was worried about the students and said, this issue, I will go to my brother for help. I also want to make sure you rest assured. As for the other students, ma'am, no matter where you are, their environment doesn't change. Even if they are grown up, I don't always need you by my side. I'm glad to say more. If they prevent you from entering the shelter, that's not too selfish, Sao. He said as he looked at her salary. As long as you get paid to enter the shelter, I won't be able to leave. You're just responsible, not stupid. Listen to what you say. It makes sense that the salary starts to falter. There's actually a lot of times you're tired of the responsibility with the Kier students, but with the heart of a teacher, the salary can't leave them. The salary is silent and says nothing. I also knew that the salary was in doubt. Happy aesthetic. If I can convince you to come here, once you get used to it, living in such a comfortable environment, natural, I wouldn't want to go back outside. With such harsh weather. In his mind, he also began to calculate. You just have to convince her. Other students outside of Kier will lose their protection. The future once there is a chance. I can handle them all. This time I glanced at Trong Yi. It's true that two great thinkers met. They're both trying to find a way to convince her to join the group. After a moment of hesitation, the salary woman stood up and said, "I will consider more. If you push too hard, Ra will backfire." He also smiled and told her the salary. "Okay, salary. When you've decided, remember to say, congratulations. You and everyone welcome to come here. You're always happy to nod. The next time will be when you teach martial arts." Young man urges her, "Let's go." Before going straight to the martial arts police also deliberately took you around. The main purpose is, young man, I want you to see the living conditions here. How good is it? Go to the third basement gym for a while. You are quite surprised when you see such a fully equipped gym. It takes your salary inside. I saw her clothes covered in dirt. Immediately open up heteroscal space. Go get some clothes and give them to you. He walked away and pointed to the toilet. There is a bathroom here. Take a shower first. She is shy to blush. She hesitated to explain. I have no conditions outside. Change your clothes and take a hot shower. Raise your hand to explain. I didn't say anything. You think too much. The young man did not say all his. The woman rushed out with her clothes on. After all, you're a single woman. The feeling of being the opposite sex. Think I'm not decent. It will be very unpleasant. A while later, she returned to Ra with a whole new look. Clothes that help her lift the 3 rings of tension. Your face is much more confident than before. I'm ready. Of course, the young man saw it. It's also somewhat attracted, but I just keep that feeling in my heart. Let's start with the salary. She always holds hands in a standing position. And I didn't forget to remind Zheng, it's hard to learn martial arts. You have to be psychologically prepared. In fact, Zhang Yi didn't want to learn anything. It's just young people who want to create every day. The salary comes home. It's easy for me to capture you. However, the young man also acted very well, starting with 2.5 hours later. The young man could no longer stand. I sat on the floor and breathed. After the first training, the salary also has a review of the translation program. Your platform is also NDTO, but want to practice martial arts. It's not possible overnight. There must be thought preparation. He put his hand on his forehead and wiped his sweat. I don't trust either what martial arts master will actually become. I just want to have some more room to defend myself. She was stunned when she heard Zhang Yi say this. Because you have seen it many times. He destroyed other hordes of people. How is it? She looked at Zhang Yifeng firmly. Even the adventurers were sent off by you. Fear is, there are not many people that can threaten your life. Like Zhang Yi, we are careful with young people. Learning everything is never enough. Let me tell you the salary. The world is full of surprises that can arise. Many things unintended. No one can take their own life. Expansion of heterospatial Take out a bag of supplies and give her a salary, as agreed. I didn't forget to tell you that we'll continue tomorrow. I can't stand it today. She walked out with a bag of supplies, with a lot of thoughts in my head. What you say echoes in your hand. She thought to herself, if it comes from his mouth, I'd be worried that he might have something to do with it. But that's what you say. A child like you can have a bad heart.